Oh, you gotta do the intro.
Doesn't the intro just get added?
We can add the intro, but
Will that be easier or harder for you?
it's about the same amount of work, I think.
Okay, because I was picturing that you would layer like the intro onto the music and then take that file and put it at the beginning of episodes. Is that easy for you or is that like annoying? Good Lord, did you hear that? Like,
I heard that
okay?
one.
Is the house coming down? Like,
Oh, you're gonna get squashed real soon.
real soon. I feel like I should put like a really big stick all the way to the ceiling for me. For support. I am right by the cinder blocks.
Person who lives downstairs thing.
Yeah,
You
with the broom.
beat the ceiling with your broom.
I'm recording all of this. Should I stop? Did you stop?
No, I didn't stop.
Oh, okay. Cool. Do you want to do an intro or do you want to just do our hellos?
I can stick one of our other intros in.
Okay.
Since we still have a few.
I can do more too. Like if you want more variants still, I can do more.
Yeah, I mean, you've already done a bunch. I should probably put in the work too and do some.
Put in some work. You're doing all the editing and everything. Like, I'm just sitting in front of my computer for 5 minutes talking. Like, it's okay. I can do it. If you want to, you can.
Okay.
But it's just not a big deal for me. Anyway, whatever you want to do. Like, I'm good.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. So we're 3 minutes in and we haven't really started yet.
Okay.
Should we start again? Or should we just keep on... Or you'll just cut the beginning?
But we have to say our hi.
Yeah.
Our highs.
Yeah.
Hey, Marty.
I want to do something different. Okay.
Oh, you don't want our pirate voices?
Oh, I'm gonna try to. I mean, we did. I'm gonna do it again. Okay, let's do it again. Do it again. Take 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Am I starting or are you
I
starting?
thought you were. Okay.
Well, you said we're. Oh, hello, Marty. Spooky on this November 2nd. 2 days after Halloween.
Yeah, and I'm eating all the candy. Maybe that's why I'm so tired. I'm definitely like sugared up.
We were supposed to get a trick-or-treater.
Yeah.
The baby across the street promised us she was going to come take a piece of candy from us. And she didn't.
Oh, no.
We decorated just for her.
Well,
we were so excited.
I know you were because you told me about it a couple times.
A couple times.
And then also, but it just means that you decorated for you. That's cool, right? Yeah, it's not. Okay. I can hear it.
I guess we count. We don't really count.
Fine. Okay, why didn't she show up?
I think she was in Staten Island. She had another engagement.
Yeah.
You think I'm joking, but like that was the reason given to me, and I was like, oh, this baby is so metropolitan.
That is so funny. But also, like, if you talk to any of my family members, they'll be like, we'll meet at Jude's house. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Andrew and
My house.
like,
I bought this house.
Yeah.
I cleaned this house.
I do all of the work for this house. Oh my gosh. Also, oh my God, it was so funny. Jude was only a couple weeks old. And Andrew called his dad. And John answered the phone. Hey, baby girl, how are you? And Andrew's like, you might as well just change my name to Jude's dad in your phone. So I get that babies have quite the rotating schedule. Like it's nuts. We actually ended up, because we didn't trick or treat.
Oh no?
No, just because like we didn't, the bottlenecking and like stuff like that in the COVID times. So we were not ready for it, right? Cannot wait till next year because it's gonna be so much fun with a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. Like, this is prime trick-or-treat time. I'm really looking forward to it. But our neighbor texted us and she was like, hey, I don't pass out candy for trick-or-treaters, but I want to for your kids. Is that a possibility? And so we were able to like knock on her door and do the trick-or-treat, and they each got like a full-size Reese's peanut butter cup and then 2 handfuls of like little candy. And then it had just started trick-or-treating, so we went to one more house down. You know, we do the whole trick-or-treat thing, and they give both the kids full-size Snicker bars, and then they got other candy as well because we did like a drive-through thing. So yeah, we have like 4 full-size candy bars in our house right now. And then all the other candy. I keep on like, hey, Jude, brush your teeth so well. Okay, just brush your teeth so well. Like, I feel like a dentist. Oh, man, it's ridiculous.
Complete detour. Originally, when I wanted to start writing Handle with Claire, you know, so I think it was at Halloween that I was like, you know what, I want to write a Halloween story. So it's going to be a dentist and then a bad boy who gives out candy.
That is so cute.
And then it just completely morphed.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, as they do. Trying to think of like the process that my like stories have taken. But okay, so what got you started writing of the romance?
Ooh. Well, I think it's kind of 2 different questions.
Okay.
It's when did you start writing? And then when did you start getting specifically into romance?
Okay.
At least I feel for me like it's a 2-parter.
Okay.
How do you feel about for you? Do you feel like it's like 2 separate stages or?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. You go with your origin story and you tell me what's up.
Okay. Dramatic drum roll. I was in 7th grade and I was staying home sick one day. And so like you have to imagine that this is like a point where like I didn't have a cell phone at this point. And when I did eventually get a cell phone, it was like one of those old flip phone slide out keyboard things.
Yeah.
You know, everyone had Blackberries. No one had an iPhone yet. It was Blackberry era.
Okay. I'm at a point in time. Absolutely.
You know, there's people didn't really have personal computers. Children definitely didn't. Yeah. My mom had like a family computer that we all used. And, you know, occasionally logged on to the internet, but I didn't really know where to go on the internet at this point.
Okay.
I think I just read Diary of a Wimpy Kid entry. So, like, that's the time you're setting.
Okay. So this would be like 2007?
Yeah,
that's where I'm
probably
at.
Ballpark that. Because I graduated high school 2014.
Okay.
So that makes sense.
Okay.
And so I'm staying homeschool with a cold or something, and I went into the attic and I lugged down this like beige computer and the screen and the keyboard with this old mechanical keyboard and the mouse with the lint rolling ball in it. And I set it all up. You know, kind of, you know, it wasn't actually that hard to set up. It's like 4 cables. But, so it's like this ancient thing that like had dial-up internet.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm taking so long on this. Because my brain.
You're setting the picture. What's the scene?
And so I dragged this thing out and I just started, I couldn't type at this point. I had to take like those summer typing classes, the Mavis Beacon, where they cover the keyboard and you're not allowed to look at what you're doing.
That was just like general, like 5th grade curriculum for us.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised it wasn't for you guys.
Well, so they taught us there was like a couple of like computer electives where you were trying to learn how to type, but they didn't really force you to learn how to.
Oh, really?
And my mom wanted us to take typing, so we had a CD of it that, you know, over the summer, if you were going to use the computer, you had to take your typing hour.
Wow, an hour of it.
Yeah, I was not good at it. I did the hunt and peck thing, so I was very slow.
Hunt
and I didn't know what
peck.
I couldn't. I would like say to my mom, "There's no J on this keyboard," and she would come over and find it for me.
Yeah, they just left the J out.
Like I would be like, "I'm so sure. I've looked at them all. This keyboard's defective."
That is so funny.
I'm sorry. I'm like just completely going into so much detail, and so like I just started writing this like high fantasy story, and like mostly because I did want to write kissing scenes. I think I did ask my mom like that week, so am I allowed to write kissing scenes? And she was like, no.
That is, I never would have thought to ask my mom that. Like never would have like considered getting like her opinion, because me in 7th grade oh, no. Okay, so in 7th grade, I had been reading romance for like 2 years, right?
Okay.
And I at this point have gotten pretty brazen. I'm just reading simple covers, like without like the, you know, kissing on the cover. If it was like an abstract cover, I would just read that in school. So by the time 7th grade rolls around, I've been reading this for 2 years, all full of weird hormones and no actual context. And so one of my friends, like, I would just write really weird 7th grade erotica. And one of my friends would read it, and then, like, yeah, I'd get passed around. But yeah, I mean, it never went to an adult by any means. I just wrote really weird scenes. And then
I double dare you to, like, put that in the critique group.
I would have to find it, and, like, that's a big no. There's a couple things that are, like, burned into my psyche from that time that, like, no way. Oh my gosh, you know, Tina from Bob's Burgers and like her like, you know, erotic thoughts of like touching butts and stuff.
Yeah,
it's like that energy, but with actual actual like content.
Yeah, no, like, because when you're in that, like, zone of, like, I don't know how the mechanics of this works yet, but I have all the energy to, like...
to seek it out through my brain.
To channel into this. To invent it myself. And, like, what you invent is not great.
Oh my gosh, not great. Also, I wrote a lot of it during classes. I mean, yeah, and it's not like I was, like being cool about this. I am just so lucky it was never found.
I wrote a lot of fanfic during classes, but I never got to, like, the dirty part during class.
Being a student is wild. Being a child is wild.
God, it's all so weird.
It's so
you're just, like, trying to have a good time.
And you're, like, so full of all of the feelings and hormones and underdeveloped brains, like...
Oh yeah, the underdeveloped brain is the biggest
That's
part.
the biggest part. I need to start doing research on, like, what parts of the brains are developing, are developing, like, in my kids, like, at what stage sort of thing. So I can, like, be more understanding of, like, you know, they're having a high reaction because they're amygdala, anyway. Amygdala, thank you. I'm like, there's a D or a B in there. Like, I'm missing something.
I've been having that mood all day. I just repeat the same word over and over.
Or the same not a word over and over.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, just having like a better understanding of like why they're behaving the way they're behaving and how to help them. Back to your story of how you started writing and your mom said no to the kissing scenes.
She said no to the kissing scenes and I was like, I'm gonna write them anyway.
Good for you. That was the right choice.
And then I tried and I was like, I don't know how it's gonna work. Gonna make it work. I think like the point in like sex education when I learned that dicks get hard, I was like, you know what, that probably make it easier, huh? Oh, that's what I'm missing.
That is so funny. Oh, it'd probably make it easier. Oh,
because I'm trying to imagine, like, how's this gonna work? Like, I don't see it working, and I'm missing something to my formula.
So, like, were you looking up, like, medical, like, journals?
No.
To, like, understand what they look like? Like, what, how was that the missing information? Does that make sense? Like, my question?
Well, like, okay, so, like, thinking back to that point, it's like, I know it's gotta, but it's, like, also 7th grade me, and, like, I want to stress, like, how much of a hermit I was, even in 7th grade. Because I know that there are probably people out there who, when they were in 7th grade, you know, were out giving blowjobs and whatnot. I'm sure people like that exist, but it was very much on the opposite end of that spectrum. I was, you know, kind of grappling with, I don't even know what a dick, like, feels like. I have such a limited understanding and not a lot of, like, access to media.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
this is all imagination at this point.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. Because, like, that's what my brain is having a hard time with, is understanding, like, what media had you seen? Had you seen, like, an illustration of, like, the male reproductive organ?
Like a medical illustration?
That's what I mean. Like, how...
I mean, I had seen those, but, like, those aren't attractive.
Well, no, they're not attractive. Like... But, like, how did you not know it would, like, not be sad and limpy?
God, all the art you ever, because I did,
that's
pretty much the only nudity I ever saw would be, statues or, paintings.
That makes so much more sense
I was
now.
into art, and I was just kind of everyone's got, they're not very big, and they're not... I'm not seeing how this is supposed to work, and I'm not seeing because God, they made.
I love this.
Just the entire
so
Renaissance was let's make dicks as unattractive as
possible. They did too. They'd have this giant guy, broad shoulders, broad rib cage, broad and then
yeah,
super thick thighs too.
And then it's this is my thumb.
This is my thumb. I mean,
and I've misplaced it.
And very small testes.
Yes. Or your testes are bigger than your dick, and I'm sure that's a thing with some people.
Yeah.
But I feel this is being overwhelmingly represented.
Yes.
And it's skewing my perception of
no
reality.
Other information to go on. Oh my god. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's so I think I ended up focusing a lot on just all the tension that leads up to it, and then never actually writing that moment because I didn't have the tools to express it. And then I just kind of devolved into really just writing about fantasy. High fantasy worlds. God, the story was so fucking... It was pretty much a ripoff of one of the games that I was playing at the time. Tales of Symphonia, which is a Japanese RPG thing. It's basically I'm not gonna explain the video game though, because it's got its own little it's its own very complicated thing. And then maybe it should be your turn. Maybe I don't want to go into the plot of this high fantasy thing I tried to come up with in 7th grade.
Okay, so I would say I started writing romance, and that's how I started out. Because no, that's not even true. Because I did little writing things in elementary school, and I always liked a dream sequence and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so by middle school, I think I was in 6th grade when teachers really started to be hey, you're good at this. And then I had this absolutely lovely teacher in 7th grade, Mrs. Genschney, who I wrote a Halloween story, and I mean, it was I went true horror with it.
Ooh.
Yeah. So to her credit, she wasn't hey, Amanda, are you okay? I think we have to have a conversation with your parents, sort of thing. Because really, that was gruesome. Again, another couple scenes that are just burned into my brain as wow, that's...
Yeah, kids can come up with some real dark shit.
That was dark. She was Marty.
Marty, because I know what pen name you're going to pick in the future.
Yes, exactly. But she was this is really good. I had chills reading this. She was if you ever write something and you just want a reader, just send it my way. And so I did. I started writing all sorts of different things, different short stories that were pretty long, and she would read them and give me feedback and encouragement. She was just really lovely. So I definitely credit her giving me such positive reinforcement. But simultaneously, for my friends, I was writing the most
lurid
exactly
7th grade, 5th
uninformed
grade
smut. Just the most uninformed smut.
There is nothing so uninhibited as uninformed smut.
Yes, that is a really good way to put it. But then I got into, freshman year of high school, and one of my favorite teachers still, I absolutely adore her. I was reading a Tammy Hogue novel, and it was on my, desk, and she came over and looked, and she's these are really great, books to read in between, your real reading sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And it was moments like that, because it definitely was not just her that was, subtly or not subtly degrading romance as a genre, and representing it it's not intellectual. And so I started to steer away from writing any romance, from reading any romance at that stage. And so it took me until, 4 years ago to start writing romance again. And there was always a romantic element to everything I wrote, but I could never finish it. And also I would there'd be that romantic element, and that was where that's where my writing shines the most. Like, that is where I feel that I am best as a writer, is creating like tension between people, creating interest between people. And what got me back to writing romance was I was having a hard time with plot. I've always struggled with plot, and like, how do I finish a story? Like, I would get, I don't know, 25 to 50% into it and wouldn't know how to complete it, and be like, what is the plot? Where is the plot? I don't understand what I'm doing here, right? And now looking back, like, I wrote it in chronological order. You know what I mean? Like, looking back at those pieces, like, there was plot there. There was very serious plot there. It was just I had gotten to the part that was hard for me, and I didn't know how to finish it. And so I was like, you know what? Romance is so formulaic, and plot is a part of the genre. So I was like, I'm gonna write a romance novel, get my hand on plot, and then I can continue writing these other things. But in going back to writing romance and embracing reading romance and all of these things, I was like, dude, this is home. Like, I love it here. This is what I want to read. This is what I want to write. This is where my passion really is. And this is where I shine. And so it became like a very positive thing for me to embrace, like, what my motive, like, what means the most to me in my writing, what means the most to me as a reader, and also to like shuck these conventions of what is intellectual and what is not, which, you know, I'm sure I've harped on it before, but I find it incredibly patriarchal that we have an entire genre that is primarily written by women, written for women, and that's a genre we turn our nose up at. Yeah. Let's go ahead and just stop with all of that. Thanks. So that's how I started writing the romance. And I have to say, I definitely have a better understanding of plot. It has definitely taught me that. But I also have a better understanding of myself. I know. Aren't I cute? But yeah, just so much more understanding of what motivates me, right? Like, I love it. I'm so happy to be here. So that's how I got into the romance.
I want to say I had like a similar kind of path, except I didn't start out having any romance background. I consider myself still pretty much a newcomer to the genre because I've only been reading it for a few years. And, you know, everyone's always like, ooh, have you read that? And it's like, oh God, I'm such a slow reader.
I am such a slow reader.
You know, and I have been here for such a short time. Like, my introduction to reading romance, I was with a friend and we were kind of being assholes because we were, you know, very in the whole pretentious high literature stuff kind of mindset.
Seriously, how many of us, it is so rare to find anyone who didn't come from that avenue. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
because that's what's encouraged.
That's
what
what's
I think
encouraged.
The picture,
that's a really good way to put it.
I know we talked a little bit before about like what the stereotype of a writer is, but I think like that's kind of part of it. You think you do have to be a little pretentious to...
Well, and then also, when you say the stereotype of a writer, I picture a white man. I am a writer, and I picture a white man. You know what I mean? Like, how invasive, how pervasive is that concept? It is incredibly limiting.
It is. I wish we could change it, but like, I don't know.
I mean,
how it's...
everything changes slow and incremental, you know? For one thing, my household, mom writes kissing books, right? Like, that's just it. Like, I remember another reason why I wouldn't write romance was like, what if I have kids someday and they get made fun of because I write sex scenes and this and that? And it's like, I'm raising kids not to give two shits about that. You know what I mean? Like, your mom writes sex scenes. Yeah, I know. Whatever. Your mom's a hygienist. Like, we all have jobs. like, it's just not a big deal, you know? And I think that was a lot of me carrying over, like, my own childhood. But it's just a completely different world. Change is happening. It just happens so fucking slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so you and your friend were being an asshole.
Yeah, we were being assholes, and we went into the romance aisle of our Barnes & Noble, and we would take the books off the shelves and laugh very loudly at like, oh, look at this shirtless man, and oh, look at this really funny title, and just kind of shrieking with laughter and just being total dicks about it. Because, like, it was so strange that, like, look, this cutesy title, and look, this, like, this stuff doesn't take itself as seriously as we take ourselves.
Yeah.
And it was, like, so unfathomable to us. And then, but, like, I did end up picking up a book, and because I thought, oh, this title is so silly, but then I started reading it, and it was like, this is the greatest book I've ever read.
What book was it?
It was Tessa Dare's One of Scott Tyson.
That's what I thought it was. Yay. Thank you, Tessa.
It's like, okay, this is life-changing. All right.
So are you telling me that because of Tessa Dare, I have my friend Kate?
Yeah.
So I need to, like, send her a thank you note. Tessa, what you don't know is you have given me a dear, dear friend. Like, that's awesome. Yeah. I love Tessa Dare.
I know,
we should figure out her birthday
so
and just,
smart.
like, wish her happy birthday every single year.
I've definitely emailed her and been like, I think you're the greatest person ever. And she did write back, actually.
Of course she did, because she's a gem.
I know. It's definitely been kind of a slow journey for me to, like, unravel. I still have, like, I think, I'm just going to call it emotional constipation. Because I'm such a... I like to say that I just don't enjoy things, but, like, it's... Enjoying things is a vulnerability, because someone can easily just, like, be like, no, the thing you like is actually shit. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely relate to that.
It'll, like, crush your worth as a person.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't like leaving my feelings out in the open, and I don't like sharing tender emotional things. God, I didn't even, like, want to, like... Like, okay, as a bi person, like, I know the whole thing is like, oh, I don't want to date a woman and, bring her home to my family and, get rejected because of that. But, like, my feelings of, like, emotional constipation and whatever, just feeling the need to protect my emotions, it was like, I don't even want to, like, date a man and bring him home to my family and, like, have to be like, yes, this is someone I have feelings for. Yeah. Because I can't admit to having any feelings.
I think that is, like, an incredibly relatable feeling. Like...
It's a weird feeling.
It is weird.
It's like, I don't want to admit to having feelings, so I don't even want to, like, admit that, like, I have here's my boyfriend, I love him. That's extremely embarrassing to say. And romance has been, like, such an avenue for me to realize, like, if my characters are going to have this moment of emotional catharsis where they're opening their hearts to each other, then I actually have to write that part, and I have to put my feelings into it, and then, like, I have to type it with my eyes closed because I'm like, you are being so cheesy. I hate all of you.
Oh, gosh.
This is my torture part. That's why I hate writing endings, because I have to write that part. And I'm like, ooh, we're being gross. Like, it just comes out and I turn into the 5-year-old, like, ugh. But so, like, it is healthy to, like, try to unpack that through romance, I think.
I think so, too. There's another podcast called Hot and Bothered, and in their I think only her first season, she had it's Vanessa Zoltan, who is the host, along with Julia Argyle. Anyway, I might be wrong on Julia's last name. But she had a breakup with her fiance and she wrote a romance novel and she found it very cathartic, right? And so she approached this first season of her podcast where she would go to her friends and have them pick up a trope and write a romance novel. And, not everybody finished and, like, stuff like that, but it ended up being a very interesting conversation on emotional levels for all of these people, because the romance that they picked, there were different things that would mirror their lives. There were different things that would mirror their personalities. And the stories they told, the endings they gave their characters, stuff like that, it was all very, like, on par with where they were at as people. And I think that's another, like, it's just romance is so, it's like, it's any other genre. Writing is so a part of who you are. Like, there's no way to not see some level of reflection. Yeah, I have a hard time with endings too, because, like, as a reader, I love an ending that makes me smile. So as I'm listening, because I listen to most of my audiobook, or most of my books, but as I'm listening or reading, if it's approaching the ending and I just kind of find myself with, like, a little smile on my face, like, okay, the author has done their job. But
yeah,
if I roll my eyes, and that line is so thin, right? Between being like, oh, that's heartwarming, and oh my God, get off the page. You know, like, it's such a thin line.
Get over yourself.
Get over yourself. And yeah, it's just, I totally relate to, it's really hard to write those endings because, like, yeah, you want that nice warm feeling for the reader, and that's part of the genre, is writing that HEA, that happily ever after, and you just don't want it to make anyone puke because it's too sweet, you know?
Yeah. And, like, I think, who was I talking to this? It might have been you, that I said I don't like the romantic speech, you know, part of the grand gesture moment of romance novels. Like, I hate like, on the level of, like, it goes in the same hand as I don't like public proposals. One, I think it's probably disrespectful to, like, and puts a lot of pressure.
It does.
On
I don't like,
the girl,
I feel like it, or whoever's being proposed to. But I don't like that it's like, okay, now if they say no, they have an entire room of people that hates them. Like, that's not fair.
Like, there's, like that's already, like, as an introvert, I hate that. But, like, also just, like, as a emotionally stunted person, it's like, I don't like having feelings open. Like, even if they're alone, it's like you're pouring your feelings out and I can see them and now I have to react to them. It's such because I think it's so hard to, like, craft something. And I think, like, personally, I think when you give the romantic speech, it has to be about what the other person needs to hear and not what you need to say, to tell them. I think those can be two very different things. And, like, there are very few romantic speeches that I consider actually romantic because I'm like, this is such a thin line. You know, like, I know you need to say something, you need to make a speech because of drama. Yeah. Just the dramatic action of your book. God, and, like, I hate to be a cliche, but I do love the Pride and Prejudice 2005.
I love that.
I know some people don't like that one.
And, like, that's fine.
But,
you don't
like,
have to. But, like, that is my comfort watch. It is everything.
The director really understood what he was doing, and he understood the source material, which is the most important thing to me.
So good.
Like, if you listen to his director's commentary, like, you hear him talk about the characters and, like, oh, you really did a deep dive on all these guys.
Respect.
And you understand their ids and their such.
That's gorgeous.
But, like, I really love the whole, like, his romantic speech of, like, I'm like, yeah, they're all talking kind of archaic. But I think beyond that, the whole how he stutters to say I love you, and, like, he's so overcome with this that he can barely get it out.
Well, and also, like, that there's the fear there too. Like,
because, like, the first time he said I love you.
Well, he did say I love you, but he also, like, he didn't go full vulnerable. Right? He still laid down the foundation of protecting himself.
It was kind of put out there, and it was a offensive, like, instead of a defensive kind of statement, it was an offensive statement. So when he said, I love you, you know, in the rain, it was very much, I'm putting this out there, and you have to respond to it. And it's, that was what he needed to say. Yes. And in the end, it's what Lizzie needs to hear. When he says all these, like, you have captured me body and soul.
I need to watch it. I need to watch it again. It's been like a day.